Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first office hour of Unit 1 of the World Quant University Introduction to Data Science module. I am your instructor, Dylan, and I will be here to answer questions from you for the next hour. Before we get started, I wanted to just set some expectations for how office hours will work. First of all, if you're joining me live, thank you very much. I see there's about 20 of you at the moment. If you have a question to share with me live, you can write it in the text chat adjacent to the video. I see several of you have found that text chat already. I'm just typing in hello now. So you can share questions in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Additionally, as the course progresses, people will begin asking questions, I'm sure, on the discussion board. And I see there's already some questions on here in response to the introductory video and some of the first lectures, as well as people exploring the Jupyter Hub platform. So I'll also be answering questions from the discussion board in between answering questions from the live chat. I also would like to say I'm probably not going to respond to greetings in the live chat. I really appreciate you all being here, but there's probably going to be a lot of us. So I don't have time, unfortunately, to address you all individually. But please do share your name, share where you're from. A big part of the learning experience for students from past cohorts has been sharing what they've learned and helping each other on the discussion board. I'd also like to note that if you haven't already watched the introductory video that was sent with your credentials, and that is linked on the Jupyter Hub control panel, you should watch that video. It explains the Jupyter Hub platform as well as the discussion board, and to some degree explains how office hours work. I may additionally use office hours not just for responding to questions, but also for sharing extra content, tips and tricks, or updates about things that are changing in the course, or different kind of logistical things. So it's useful to come to the office hours or watch the office hours, even if you don't have a question. With that, I also saw there were several cases of people commenting on the videos that have been shared thus far. So I'm going to answer those comments, but I wanted to point out that usually I'm not paying attention to video comments. If you have questions about the course content, you should share those on the discussion board. And if you have questions about any logistics or technical issues about any of the technology for the course not working, you can send those questions to dsmodule@wqu.org, where all of our correspondence has been coming from. So I'll go ahead and answer these questions first. One student asks, is it necessary to have previous knowledge of Python, or is being a beginner okay? We don't assume any prior experience with programming or Python. The first lectures address programming fundamentals in Python. However, it is useful to supplement your learning with other resources. We will move rather quickly. So Additional resources may be useful for reviewing or practicing fundamentals in more detail. So this course is designed for beginners who don't necessarily have programming experience or experience with Python. However, by the end of the course, over the course of the 8 weeks, we'll get into pretty advanced material, working with custom classes, advanced data structures like pandas data frames, SQL tables, and doing a lot of data analysis and aggregation. So we'll be proceeding through topics pretty quickly, and your success in the course will depend on you taking time to do independent study beyond just watching the videos. So on average, you should expect probably to spend 8 to 10 hours a week working on studying the course or working on assignments from the course. I'm really happy to see so many people joining us live. It's really great to have, nice kind of live community to make the office hour experience more engaging and more responsive to your needs. There was also a question about if Jupyter Hub can be accessed offline. Jupyter Hub is an online platform and cannot be accessed offline. However, Jupyter Hub has a tab, or your Jupyter Hub has a tab for video downloads. So you can download the videos and watch them offline. Additionally, you can download and install the Jupyter Notebook server from as part of the Anaconda Python distribution from anaconda.org. You can run Jupyter Notebooks offline by downloading them from Jupyter Hub and running your own Jupyter Notebook server on your personal machine. So it is possible to engage with the course content offline, but it is somewhat limited. You'll need to install additional programs, the Jupyter Notebook server, to run the notebooks, and it's not possible to complete assignments offline. Assignments must be completed on Jupyter Hub online. There was also a comment which I've already addressed that the video was blurred. If the video appears blurry to you, that is probably either because the video was very recently uploaded and YouTube is still processing it, or unfortunately, your internet connection is just not strong enough to maintain the video quality. In which case, you may want to go to the video downloads tab and download the video to watch it offline. We already have the introductory video as well as the first 4 mini lectures. These are all quite short on some basic programming concepts and the fundamentals of the Python language. We'll be continuing to add videos here and in your video links tab, so you can see those same videos linked from YouTube here. In general, we'll lecture probably about 1 or 2 notebooks per week, sometimes less, sometimes more. And I'm going to do my best to break up the notebooks into mini lectures So the amount and length of the videos will vary from week to week. But students have given us feedback that they tend to prefer shorter videos. So I'm going to do my best to make the videos on the shorter side. That means, unfortunately, it may be more difficult to tie together concepts across videos, but I'll do my best to make references to other videos where concepts have been introduced before. Each video has a particular labeling scheme using 3 digits. The first digit is the week. So this will be 1 through 8. We're currently in week 1, so we have a 1 here. The second number is just a label. It's 1 out of how many notebooks we're doing this week. So I'll be lecturing 2 notebooks this week. All of these videos come from the same notebook, which is the Pi Program Flow notebook. So they all have a 1 for the second number, but I'm creating lectures for another notebook, Pi Data Structures, which will have a 2 here. And then the third number simply labels which video in the series for that notebook is it. So we have in order 1, 2, 3, 4, and you should watch them in this order 1, 2, 3, 4. When is the first homework assignment? Great question. I will introduce the assignments as part of the lecture videos. So you'll be cued in the lecture videos when to complete assignments. However, there's also on the info page on the syllabus, it shows what weeks you should expect to begin various assignments. So the assignments are what we call the mini projects. Let me just quickly open up my server to show you. They are stored in each portion of the course. There is a mini projects directory where the assignment notebooks can be found. So your very first assignment, which was introduced in the introductory video, is this IN mini project. Now, it may be a little confusing to you how to complete this mini project until you've watched the first few lectures, as well as the introductory video. So you don't have to get started on this right away, but you should get started on it sometime this week. The IP mini project is also scheduled for you to start this week. And in one of the lectures that I haven't uploaded yet, I'm still making it, I'll instruct you to begin that IP mini project. Some of these assignments will take you several weeks to complete. So you should not expect necessarily to complete a mini project in the same week that it's assigned. But this syllabus indicates when you might want to start working on the various mini projects. All projects are due by the end of the course. So even though IP is assigned in the first week, it's due at the same time as DW, which is at the end of the course. Why would I see these comments, which is being typed during the live? Oh, where would I see these comments, which is being typed during the live office hours? I'm not sure I understand the question. You typed your question into chat, and I assume you're talking about where is the chat. So I'm a little confused by your question. You should be able to see other students' comments in the chat box, as well as your own. Is there a way I can link the version control Git to Jupyter Hub? Great question. So probably not everyone is familiar with version control, but if you are, you may be interested in doing something like the following. So in Jupyter, you can create a terminal emulator by going to New Terminal. And then we get sort of terminal type interface for our Jupyter pod. and we can change into the data course directory. And one instance where we might want to use version control, if that's something you are accustomed to using, is for the mini projects, since we'll be adding code there to solve problems, and occasionally we might want to backtrack and change something. So if you go to, for instance, Python mini projects, there is Git is installed already on your pod, as you can see. So you could do git init on your mini projects directory and start placing whatever you like under version control. So Git is available if you wish to use it via the terminal on your Jupyter pod. Once live office hours are over and I want to see how you responded about Jupyter installation, where is the chat available after office hours? So the office hour automatically converts into a video that stays on YouTube. So you can continue, you can watch the office hours after they conclude. And as part of the office hour video, this chat will also be present, and comments will appear according to your progress through the video. So you'll be able to see all these comments and everything that happens in the office hours after they conclude as well. How much of Python learning are we going to cover and at what level? So we're going to start very basic, and then we're going to proceed to fairly advanced. We're going to cover essentially all the material that you need to know to start becoming an independent learner concerning data science in Python. Of course, there will be more advanced topics that we won't get into, such as multiprocessing or, let's see. I'm trying to think of other things we won't get into, and I'm drawing a blank. We won't talk about probably decorators or coroutines. So there's a lot of Python topics that we won't discuss, but they're not necessarily relevant or widely relevant to data science. Some of them are relevant, but they're more specific applications. So we'll cover quite a bit of material and get fairly advanced, but we'll be starting from the beginning and moving pretty quickly. We'll be using Python 3 for the course. Should we attend or watch all office hours apart from the videos and assignments? It's dependent upon how much time you have, and you'll have to decide how you want to use your time for studying the course. You may find the office hours are very helpful and yet you want to watch them in addition to videos and completing the assignments. You may find that the office hours are less helpful than if you simply spend that time reviewing the notebooks and studying independently. So I can't tell you exactly what the most successful strategy for you will be. I know a lot of students have limited time to dedicate to the course, and it's up to you to decide how to most valuably spend that time. We will not be discussing Spark in this course. In RStudio, there's a global environment where I can see all variables with data that I've imported and declared using the script. Does Jupyter have something similar? Jupyter is different from RStudio. RStudio is what's called an IDE. It's a graphical environment for writing code and inspecting, kind of the state of your computation. Jupyter notebooks are closer to kind of traditional programming, where it's more similar to a command line interface. So there is not such functionality available in Jupyter. Now, of course, this is maybe a little bit frustrating for those of you who are accustomed to being able to see the environment visually. but it is much closer to traditional programming. And in most data science projects or jobs, you'll probably be working with something more similar to Jupyter than something like RStudio. So it is useful practice if you're planning a career in data science or would like to work on data science projects yourself independently. It is possible to watch the office hours after they stream live. They will become permanent videos on YouTube. I'm also going to open up some questions here on the discussion board and start answering some of those. So some of these questions I'm happy to see have already been answered by other students. That's really helpful to me and to your fellow students because I also have limited time to dedicate to this course. I have other obligations as part of my job. And so I'll be looking at this discussion board only during office hours and very rarely outside of office hours. So I'm depending on you all to help each other as well. Note to make this discussion board as useful as possible for all students. It would be really helpful if we followed good formatting and style conventions for asking questions and responding to questions. And that's also covered in this introductory video. It covers how you should use the message board. So someone had asked what version of Python we'll be using. I've already responded in the office hour that that's Python 3, but a student also shared a very complete answer linking to the introductory video, responding with an answer, and additionally talking about how you could install Python 3 locally on your personal computer. I've given this answer an upvote because this is an excellent answer that I think can be very helpful to other students. And I would encourage you, if you see questions that you think are helpful or answers you think are helpful, to upvote those as well. So I'll just go ahead and open a few more questions, and then I'll look back at the live chat. Will it be easy to transfer Jupyter techniques to, for example, the Atom text editor? Yes. So Jupyter is, if you're familiar with the IPython REPL, Jupyter is extremely similar to IPython, which is pretty much almost, that's also very similar to a bare Python interpreter. So while there are some stylistic differences between writing code in Python scripts, meaning like .py files, when you're working with a text editor and when you're working with a notebook, the language and syntax is exactly the same, and any code you write in one will work in the other. So everything we learn will be very transferable to working with a text editor and writing regular Python scripts. Does finishing and passing this course guarantee an option to be considered for Unit 2? Yes. So if you complete this course, you will be automatically accepted for Unit 2. So that's a major motivation to complete the course if you would like to learn about machine learning and statistical inference in Unit 2. The criteria for completing the course is that you must get a score greater than 0 on every question of every assignment. So if you watched the introductory video, you saw that there's this grader which will score the questions in the mini projects and report back your score. You must get a score higher than 0 for every question. You can always check your grades on the homepage of your Jupyter Hub by clicking the Grades tab. and it should display the questions with your grades next to them. I've already run the solutions to every question just to test that they work. So I have ones for everything here. It is possible that you may get errors when running the grader. There's two kinds of errors you might get. You might get an error that says to report the error to TDI staff. Currently, for some reason, the grader is a little bit buggy. It's not working exactly perfectly. But if you try to resubmit your answer, it should eventually work after a couple tries. If it doesn't work after, say, 10 tries, then please email dsmodule@wqu.org with a screenshot of the error. The other thing that can happen is you can get an error, for instance, say my even numbers were the first 4 even numbers. I've been asked to give a list of 5 numbers, but if I give a list of 4 numbers, I may get an error not like that. I need to import the grader like this. This is an error message from the grader telling me my solution has the wrong format. So it's saying my answer is too short and that it couldn't validate min items in the schema. So min items refers to the minimal number of items that your answer should have. And we see that our answer should have a maximum and a minimum of 5 items, meaning exactly 5. And this has only 4, so it's too short. It needs to have 5. We add in that 5th number, the problem grades as normally. So you need to get back a reported score higher than 0 on every question. Each question we try to provide you, in most cases, with an example of what your answer should look like. So here we've given you something to get started with this even numbers variable equal to 0 as a list times 5. If you evaluate that, you'll see it's just a list of 5 zeros. So this is a list of 5 numbers. It's just not the first 5 even numbers. So we try to do this for questions in the mini project to help you make sure that you know what your answer should look like in terms of formatting. The course is 8 weeks long. The last day, let me check my calendar. So the last day of the course is March 15th. All assignments are due by March 15th. Is it possible to resubmit answers to the same problems? Yes. You can submit as many times as you want. Only the highest grade is recorded. Note there is a rate limiter to limit how fast you can submit answers, just so you can't write code that tries to guess answers just repeatedly submitting to the grader. But if you are taking time to think about your solution carefully and to really try and write good solutions, then you shouldn't encounter the rate limiter and you should be fine. But you can submit multiple solutions and only the highest grade is recorded. Is Unit 2 the master's in financial engineering? No. The master's course or master's program is totally separate from this program. They do not relate to each other. Unit 2 is about machine learning and statistical inference. If you're interested in the master's in financial engineering, you should go to wqu.org and apply for that program. It's completely separate. Is there any difference between TDI's Data Science Foundations and WorldQuant's Introduction to Data Science? Yes, they are not the same course. They touch on some similar topics, but they are different. Do we have options to improve the grades? I believe I sort of already answered this, but yes, you can submit as many times as you like and try and improve your solution and get a better grade. I guess that already also answers this question as well. Looking back to the discussion board, someone mentioned that they couldn't open the link to the introductory video. The link is working. You see, if I click on it, I get sent to the introductory video. If for any reason you can't access YouTube, you may want to go to Jupyter Hub, click the video downloads, and download the videos to watch offline. So I'll just write, the link is confirmed to be working. However, it may be that some students cannot access YouTube due to country restrictions or other technical limitations. Therefore, we provide all videos as available for download from the Video Downloads tab on Jupyter Hub. If you cannot access videos on YouTube, you may want to download them and watch them offline. Also note that office hours that are scheduled in the future are accessible, but currently contain no content. The office hours are streamed live, and therefore, office hours in the future haven't happened yet. Therefore, there is no video content yet for future office hours. Oh, I guess I should also mention, once office hours are streamed, i.e. office hours in the past, they remain as permanent videos on YouTube. Therefore, you can watch office hours after they happen. Does all mini projects have a maximum score of 1? I believe that the answer is yes. In principle, it is possible for our grader to award scores higher than 1, but it depends on the type of question we're asking. And I believe for all the questions in this unit that the maximum score is 1. Once again, to complete the course and receive a certificate, you need to get a score higher than 0 on all questions, which in itself is not so easy. And you need to understand quite a bit of what we teach just to do that. But additionally, if you want a certificate with an honors distinction, you need a average grade of 0.9 or higher across all questions. So you can check if you're eligible for an honors certificate by visiting your grades, totaling them all up, and dividing by the number of questions. You can get all the videos later, so there's no problem if you've joined late or you have to miss an office hour. So this question is answered. Comment that the question of an exercise in the program flow notebook is not clear. I'm going to edit this question a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to find in terms of what it is located in the course content. So I'm just going to add PyProgramFlow to the title. I'm also going to add some tags. So I'll retag this to also have program flow and exercise so that people can more easily find this question. And I'll probably be editing a lot of questions to demonstrate good style. This is not because I am planning to make sure that every question follows good style, but it's to teach you how to write your own questions in a way that makes it easy for other students to find and makes it easy to understand what the question is about. So here we have an answer. So 15 should be true because it's between 10 and 20. 5 should be false because it is less than 10. Negative 200 should be true because it is less than minus 100. 30 should be false because it is greater than 20. So I'm going to upvote this answer as well. Oh, right. I missed a comment in the chat earlier. I just remembered someone said they didn't see the option to upvote comments. So questions, you can click this up arrow. Answers, you can click this up arrow. If you go to a comment, when you are hovering over the comment with your mouse, there's also an up arrow for upvoting comments. Now, I don't remember for sure, but it may be possible that you're not able to upvote until you've participated enough on the message board, meaning you may need to ask questions or give answers before you can upvote. But as you participate, you'll unlock the ability to do more things on the message board. In fact, let me check right now. So upvote has a threshold of 5 karma. I'm just going to set that to 1 so that people can upvote right away. So now everyone on the message board should be able to upvote answers and questions that they think are useful. The lectures are not live streamed. The lectures are pre-recorded. So I record the lectures when I have time, and then I upload them to YouTube and add the links and the videos to the Jupyter Hub. There's no way to watch those live streamed, unfortunately. Just in terms of time management for the course, in terms of my own time management, the lectures are pre-recorded. The advantage of this also is that all the lectures for a particular week can come out early in the week rather than trying to schedule them for times when students are available. We have students from all over the world, and it's very difficult to choose a time that works for everyone as well as myself. So this is our compromise. What's the maximum hours for an office hour? An office hour is 1 hour. All the office hours are 1 hour long. This one began 40 minutes ago, so there are 20 minutes left. Is problem 2 from the intro video part of the final graded questions? The IN project is part of your assignments. You must complete the IN project, including problem 2. Yes. One student had a problem. They tried to answer the first problem in the mini project, and it said grader is not defined. I'm just going to edit this as well, just to highlight this name error as code, which it is. I'm going to also edit this question, IN mini project, problem 1. And we'll tag this with IN. Mini project, grader, and name error. As another student answered, it's important that you import the grader before you use it. In general, a name error happens when you try to evaluate an expression in Python that uses a name that you have not defined. If we don't import the grader, then Python has no idea what this name grader means. So we need to import the grader in order to use it. I'll edit this as well. A bit of a typo. This also is in the program Flow notebook. So someone tried to run this expression that I wrote in the notebook as code and encountered a syntax error. So this syntax error should also be code formatted. There we go. So this expression is what's called LaTeX or LaTeX. It is a typesetting language, and it's used in markdown cells, as another student responded. So this is not Python code, and you cannot run it as Python code. It is, however, a valid expression in a markdown cell for creating mathematical symbols and formulae. So I believe all the questions on the discussion board are now addressed by myself or others. There's no more questions on the live chat at the moment. So I'm going to have a look at this question that I asked based on an exercise from the PyProgram Flow notebook and have a look at what thoughts students had to share about it. So this student has a quite complete answer. In terms of lines of code, the one with the for loop is better because it's written with fewer lines of code than the one with the while loop. Indeed, the for loop is slightly shorter. When we're considering comparing different implementations from a code basis, we're not only concerned about the number of lines of code, but also how easy it is to understand the code, how readable the code is. So the main difference between these two is, this portion where we have a while loop or a for loop. In the while loop, we say while count is less than or equal to n. And that means I have to, in my mind, remember kind of what does count represent and what's happening with it. So count is an index for what position I'm in the Fibonacci sequence. And as I perform my calculations, I also have to remember to increment that count each time. In the for loop, I say for count in this range from 2 up to the number at which I stop. And the incrementation is kind of automatically handled for me. And also, it's clear what count is from this expression itself. for count in this range of numbers. So count is an index that goes from 2 up to n, inclusive of n, because I'm going up to n plus 1. And that just means like I'm going to do this a number of times labeled by these numbers. So I think the for loop is a little bit more readable and easier to understand than this while loop. It just takes a little bit less work to understand it. In terms of space and time complexity, the code written for the for loop is more optimal than the code written with the while loop. The for loop uses user code, or the for loop minimizes use of multiple assignments. In addition, the comparison operator performed has been avoided. Small correction. Both of these have roughly the same time space complexity. They both scale as order n, meaning as n gets larger and larger, as we want to go out to higher and higher numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, the amount of time it takes to run the algorithm increases linearly. We'll talk more about this idea in when we get to the lecture that will cover the PyAlgorithms notebook. So there's a notebook in Python called PyAlgorithms where we'll talk about these ideas. Small details like assigning variables only add constants or multiplicative coefficients to the complexity. They don't change the order. However, this is a very good analysis. Other students also gave some good answers. The for loop may be slightly faster, but as we can see from this student's timing, the amount of time they take is extremely similar. It's barely different at all. There's 3 digits of agreement before there's any difference. So the difference in time is like less than 0.1%. This is another excellent answer, so I'm going to give it an upvote. And it even links to a Stack Overflow link on when to use while or for in Python. I definitely very much encourage you to share links like this to additional resources that talk more in depth or from a different perspective about some of the topics we've discussed. So I once again want to just emphasize that, in order for this discussion board to be a useful resource for everyone, it's important that we pay attention to good style and try and do our best to write comprehensive answers, well thought out answers that give, the results of experiments or example code or links to external resources. And all of those sorts of things are features of a great answer or question on the discussion board. How similar is the course for the data science module and the master's course? I'm not sure. I've never taken the master's course, nor did I write the curriculum for it. They are completely separate programs. So I am not certain what is contained in the master's course. Yeah, so unfortunately, I can't comment on that. I think the most significant difference is that the master's course has a degree attached to it, whereas this course does not. But yeah, as to also this course is focused on data science, whereas the master's course is focused on financial engineering. So it contains less of a focus maybe on programming and data science techniques, and more of a focus on finance and economics and financial modeling techniques. But this is just a guess based on looking at the syllabi for the two courses, and it's difficult for me to comment because I'm not actually sure what the curriculum of the master's course is. Additionally, the data science course, is still being developed. We've been running it for a year now, and we've now expanded it into this 2-unit structure. We've added material on more advanced machine learning techniques in Unit 2. So it's possible even that the relationship between the two courses may change in the future as the curriculum develops. So unfortunately, I don't have a very precise answer for that question. So there's 9 minutes left in the office hour. I'll, of course, continue to stay and look out for questions. There's no further questions on the message board. So if you have a question for me, feel free to ask it in the live chat. In my experience, despite having run this course several times before, every time it's a little bit different. The logistics often change from time to time. And so, unfortunately, it so happens that in the emails we send you and the videos we make, I sometimes forget to include certain details about how the course works. So I rely on you a little bit to ask questions about what's unclear about the course to make sure that I communicate all the necessary information to everyone. Do we learn R also? No, the course is entirely conducted within Python. Part of the reason for that is that Python is a general purpose programming language that can integrate seamlessly with many other applications. Many web applications are written in Python. There's video games that are written in Python. Python is used for a lot of different purposes, and a lot of these applications generate data. And so Python much more seamlessly integrates with the rest of the world of computer programming and just computers in general than R does. Python also has a much larger community of developers creating tools for it. And many scientists and data scientists use Python as part of their jobs and develop tools for the community to use in their own applications. R has more of a background in traditional statistics, and so it tends to be preferred by statisticians and mathematicians, particularly in academic settings, or for researchers who are doing lots of statistical tests. But it does not integrate as well into kind of the world of computing, and therefore doesn't have as much use, not as widespread use in the business world. Do we have a student chat group? We do not provide a chat group for you. We provide the discussion board, which allows you to interact with each other. But I understand that is somewhat limited in as much as we would prefer for you only to use the message board for asking and answering questions about course content. If you would like to set up some kind of student chat, that is up to you. You can create a question on the discussion board, for instance, with a link to whatever kind of platform you want to use for this chat. But as an instructor, I do not have time to moderate or monitor such a chat, so I cannot have it be part of the class because I cannot be responsible for it. So it's upon you all to make that if you want it. How many mini projects are there in this cohort? So again, you can always look at the grades tab to see the results of your submissions for all the projects and all the questions. Just looking at the grades, we see there's DW, IN, IP, PW, VC, and that's it. So there are 5 mini projects in this course. When will the second unit start? The units run in parallel. So there is currently a unit 2 that in fact has an office hour running right now. And if after completing unit 1, you want to participate in unit 2, that will happen in April. If you're curious about the timing of the various sessions of the courses, you can always go to the website for applying to the courses, and it will show the schedule of when sessions are due to start on the homepage of that website. So the next session begins April 15th, and both Unit 1 and Unit 2 begin on that day. Do we get access for additional cloud computing during the course? No. Your Jupyter Hub pod is part of a cloud cluster, but that is your only computing resource for the course. We are paying for the computing resources for all the students, and there are a lot of you. So unfortunately, we can't afford to give you very powerful computers, but nothing stops you from going out and purchasing that for yourself. But no, we don't give you access to additional cloud computing. The only computing resource we give you is your Jupyter Hub pod. Okay, so we're now reaching the end of the hour. I have time perhaps to take 1 or 2 more questions. So if you have any outstanding questions, please ask them now because we're going to conclude the office hour in just a couple minutes. Remember, the office hour will be available to watch immediately after it ends. It stays on YouTube, and you can watch it whenever you like. How many of us are there in this cohort? So there are, I believe, about 1,850 students around there enrolled. So far, we've seen about 400 students connect to their Jupyter Hub pods, and I'm sure that number will increase as the week proceeds. So somewhere in the range of hundreds to close to 2,000, depending on how you're counting. Is there anything we have to submit weekly or answer weekly? No, all assignments, meaning the mini projects, are due before the end of the course. The exercises in the lecture notebooks are totally optional. However, it is strongly recommended that you try to do them in order to practice the concepts presented during lecture, but they are not graded. The only things you are graded on and that count towards the certificate or completion of the course are the mini projects, and all mini projects must be completed before March 15th. Okay, so that concludes the office hour. Do office hours doubts clearing sessions? Unfortunately, I'm not sure what this question means, but we've now reached the end of the office hour, so I'm going to sign off. And the next office hour will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. American Eastern Time. As with this office hour, you can find the schedule on the video links tab of your Jupyter Hub. And in the schedule, it should display the time in your local time. So this is the next one, office hour 2, tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you there. And I hope you have a good remainder of your day.